Subversive Preacher. My name is Cameron Miller. Happy New Year. Here a little more cash than usual in my hoodie and drinking coffee because this is for New Year's Eve, and who wants to get all dressed up and everything for New Year's Eve? I guess some people do. Anyway, this is for the first Sunday after Christmas. And I have several readings this morning, which I used also at Trinity Place in Geneva. The standards from the lectionary were Isaiah 61:10 through 62:3, and also the Gospel of John 1:1 through 18. To these I added Starlings in Winter by Mary Oliver, This is a Time to Be Slow by John O'Donohue, and for the New Year 1981 by Denise Levertov. It was sort of the New Year service would be sort of a lessons and carols in that sense. And this is a little dialogue. I'm not going to read you all these readings, but here's a little dialogue between the four poets and the clarions that were being read. Isaiah, Mary Oliver, John O'Donohue, Denise Levertov, and John, author of the Gospel of John. And these are just little snippets that create a dialogue. Mary Oliver, I want to think again of dangerous and noble things. I want to be light and frolicsome. I want to be improbably beautiful and afraid of nothing, as though I had wings. John O'Donohue, no, lie low to the wall until the bitter weather passes. Try as best you can not to let the wire brush of doubt scrape from your heart all sense of yourself. If you remain generous, time will come good, and you will find your feet, if not your wings. Denise Levertov, well, I have a small grain of hope, one small crystal that gleams clear colors out of transparency. I need more. I break off a fragment and send to you. Please take this grain of hope so that mine won't shrink. So only so, by division, will hope increase. And from the Gospel of John, but look, this is hope. The light has come into the world, and the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The true light, which enlightens everyone, has come into the world. The prophet Isaiah, yes, hope, indeed, for as the earth brings forth its shoots, and as a garden causes what is sown in it to spring up, so God will cause righteousness and praise to spring up before the nations. When I was 26 years old and preparing to preach my first sermon at my first job as a transitional deacon in the pulpit of St. John's Episcopal Church in Lafayette, Indiana, where I would eventually be ordained a priest, I was stuck. I mean, I could come up with nothing for that sermon, probably because I was scared, but also because I wasn't a preacher yet. Then a woman, ancient of days, or who seemed to me very old at the time, but was probably about my current age, gave me a quote. It was from the poet and sociologist Minnie Haskins, whose words were immortalized by King George VI on Boxing Day in 1939 as his nation was staring at war again. You've likely heard these famous words by now, but I never had at the time. They were new to me. It is this. I said to the man who stood at the gate of the new year, give me a light that I might tread safely into the unknown. And he replied, go out into the darkness. and put your hand in the hand of God, that shall be to you better than light and safer than any known way. Now, I have no memory of what I said in that sermon, but I know that I hung it on that quote. And I know that those words have stayed with me and echoed around in my head, along with a few other choice droplets of wisdom over the years. You see, our religion has several tracks, and each track several voices. There's the one that we get tarred with, lampooned even. It's the judgment track. We know its heavy vocabulary and the staccato voices strafing the minds of anyone that can get to listen. And there is the purity track that pairs well with the judgment track. It uses precision, ritual, and sacraments to protect the sanctity of its habitations and its members. There's the New Age track, too, that declares that everything that happens for a reason, and it's all good. Jesus and the Holy Spirit are just a prayer away. There are a bunch of these tracks, some of which you and I have trod at one time or another, perhaps still visit from time to time. But standing at the gate of this new year, the train I'm riding runs on a different track. I could call it hope. But that word has come to imply a wish for a particular outcome. As in, I hope this happens, or I hope for. Those are really a misuse of the powerful and sacred idea of hope. Hope as Isaiah used it, in the deep vein of hope buried deep in the spiritual tradition that has been mined by our greatest sages and prophets, is not a wish. The hope I'm talking about is trust. Trust without an outcome tied to it. Trust without an outcome tied to it. To put our hand in the hand of God and walk without sight into the new year. That is hope. It offers wings, Mary Oliver desired, and it is the wire brush that scrapes doubt from the hearts that John O'Donohue wrote about. It is the light that once came into the world that John declared and that continues to light the darkness even now. It is the grain of a grain I hand to you so that mine won't shrink, because only by division will hope increase. You and I have no idea what is to come in this new year of 2024. Not for our families in the decade ahead, nor in eternity, if there even is such a thing. But we do not need to know. We do not need to know the answers to those things or the outcomes if we have hope. If we trust God enough to thrust our hand into the hand of the Creator of all that is, we can walk into the new year or anywhere else with hope. I don't think that's what I preached back in June 1980, because I didn't know then what I know now. But I did put my hand in the hand of God and walk into a vocational life I had no vision of at the time, no pre-knowledge of, no way to predict what actually would happen, like something like this. But here we are, together at the gate of another new year. I invite you to join me in putting your hand into the hand of God and walk in to 2024 with hope. Trust God, even without knowing what lies ahead or how it's all going to turn out. If we can do that, that's hope. And if we can share hope, we can move forward together. I hope we will move forward together. Peace be with you.